Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are looking at a document that, most of us never see,
Huh.
but it contains some of the most critical, life-saving information you can imagine. We're doing a deep dive into the A.B.M. project, Emergency Response and First Aid Manual.
And this isn't just theory. This is a real internal manual for a high-risk environment. Think a massive construction site or a busy factory floor. Its whole purpose is making sure every single person there knows what to do in that first second when things go wrong.
Okay, let's unpack this. Our mission here is to pull out the absolute core procedures, the really vital stuff, and some of the surprising first aid details that, frankly, everyone should probably know. It doesn't matter what your job is. These principles are universal.
And for you as a learner, this manual is just an incredible example of structure. It shows how you take this massive, complex body of knowledge and boil it down into really clear goals. The A.B.M. system focuses on 4 things: recognition, response, giving basic aid, and knowing how to use the equipment.
So let's start with that foundation, Module 1. It's all about understanding the kinds of emergencies you'd face in an industrial setting. And it's broader than you might think.
It really is. Most people jump to fire, right?
Yeah.
But the A.B.M. manual lists 6 distinct types. You've got fire and explosion, sure, but then chemical spills, electrical incidents, and structural collapse or, equipment failure.
And that's just the man-made stuff.
Exactly. It also covers severe weather events and then just general medical emergencies and injuries. It's a really comprehensive view of risk.
Okay, so one of those things happens. The alarm bells are going off. The manual has this non-negotiable sequence, the emergency action steps. This is what's supposed to kick in over the adrenaline.
Yeah, this is the muscle memory part. It starts with one fundamental step. Assess the situation for safety. Is it safe for you to even get close? Because if you go down, you've just made the problem worse.
Right, help as a second victim. What's next?
Second, you alert others and hit that emergency alarm immediately. No hesitation.
And then you bring in the pros.
Precisely. Step 3 is call emergency services. And the manual is very specific here. You have to give the exact location, the nature of the emergency, and how many people are hurt.
That detail must save so much time. They know what they're walking into.
It lets them scale the response before they even arrive. Then after the call, you evacuate. Follow the designated routes. And the last step is maybe the most crucial.
The head count.
Accounting for all personnel at the assembly points. It's not just a roll call. It tells first responders exactly who is missing and where they should start looking.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, these steps, they're not just a safety checklist. They're a psychological tool. They're designed to stop the single biggest risk factor in any disaster, which is just chaos.
That's it. It keeps the situation from completely falling apart. And that leads to the one rule that's in bold, underlined. I mean, they really stress this. Do not re-enter until cleared by emergency personnel. Simple as that.
And to back all this up, they require a list of contacts to be posted everywhere. Not just 911, but the site safety officer, the supervisor, and even the name and address of the nearest hospital.
Every second counts. Okay, so moving into Module 2, this is the hands-on stuff, the first aid essentials. And it all starts with a primary assessment, the ABCs.
A for airway, B for breathing, C for circulation. Check the airways clear, check for breathing, look, listen, and feel, and then check for a pulse and any catastrophic bleeding.
And once it's stable, the manual gets into specific injuries. Here's where it gets really interesting. Because the correct instructions are often the exact opposite of what your instincts tell you to do.
Okay, let's start with burns. My first thought is to grab ice, a bag of frozen peas, something.
And that's what most people think, but it's wrong. The manual says to cool the burn with cool running water for 10 to 20 minutes.
10 to 20, wow.
Yeah, that sustained cooling is what stops the heat from continuing to damage the tissue deep under the skin, and the don'ts are just as critical. Do not use ice. It can cause more tissue damage. Do not apply any ointments because they trap the heat in. And don't break blisters. They're a natural barrier against infection.
Just cool running water. That's a huge takeaway.
Yeah.
What about electrical shock? That seems like a place where you could easily have 2 victims instead of 1.
100%. This is a vital moment. The absolute first step is do not touch the victim. Not until you are positive the power source is disconnected. You have to physically see the breaker flipped or the plug pulled.
Because otherwise you'd just become part of the circuit.
You do. Once it's safe, then you call for help, check their ABCs, and start CPR if you have to.
Okay, and in these environments, chemical exposure has to be a big one.
Huge. And the protocol is immediate and aggressive. Get any contaminated clothing off them and flush the affected area with water for at least 15 minutes. The key is dilution. Massive dilution.
But there's another layer to that, right? The safety data sheet, the SDS.
Yes. While someone is flushing, another person needs to find the SDS for that specific chemical. It's like the chemical's own emergency instructions. It'll list specific antidotes or tell you things the emergency room absolutely needs to know. It's an indispensable tool.
All right, shifting to physical trauma, head injuries. A worker falls, gets hit by something. What's the protocol there?
Stillness. Everything is about keeping them still and calm. The number one priority is protecting the spine. So do not move them unless they're in, immediate danger like a fire.
Even if they say they're fine.
Especially if they say they're fine. You call emergency services for any loss of consciousness, no matter how brief. That little blackout is a massive red flag.
And for something simpler, like a fracture or a sprain.
Immobilize and apply ice. But again, there's a key restriction. Do not attempt to straighten or realign it. You splint it just as you found it. Trying to be a hero and set it can cause way more damage to nerves and tissue.
Got it. So after you've handled the immediate injury, we're talking about the equipment and the systems that support all this. Module 3 gets into CPR and the AED.
Right, the mechanical side of things. CPR is the standard 30 compressions to 2 breaths, but the manual hammers home the quality.
It's not just about pushing on the chest.
No, it's push hard and fast. They specify a rate of 100 to 120 compressions per minute.
Yeah.
That's the tempo of the song Staying Alive, funnily enough. And you need depth. You're trying to manually pump blood to the brain.
And the AED, the defibrillator, those things seem intimidating.
They're designed not to be.
How
The
do-
manual just breaks it down. Step 1, turn it on. The machine will talk you through every single step. You follow the voice prompts, you attach the pads, you make sure no one is touching the person, and then you resume CPR right after the shock. The biggest mistake people make is just hesitating.
That makes sense. But all of this only works if the tools are actually there and ready to go. So, Module 4, the equipment. What's in this industrial-grade first aid kit that you wouldn't find in your car?
Well, beyond the usual bandages, they mandate a CPR face shield. That's a crucial barrier, especially in a messy environment. They also require huge bottles of eye wash solution and specialized burn gel. And this kit has to be checked monthly. There's an expectation that this stuff gets used.
And it's not just the kit, it's the fixed stuff on site, too.
Right. Fire extinguishers, emergency eye wash stations, full-on emergency showers for a big chemical spill, AEDs, and clearly marked exits and assembly points. These have to be clear and functional all the time.
So you have the knowledge, you have the gear, but you need the skill. Module 5, training and certification. This seems pretty intense.
It is. It's an 8-hour commitment for the initial certification, and they split it right down the middle. 4 hours of classroom sessions, so theory, videos, case studies. But the other 4 hours are all mandatory hands-on practice. Using a CPR mannequin, an AED trainer, running through simulations, it's where you build the actual competence.
And you can't just show up. You have to pass.
Yep. You need a 70% or higher on the written test, you have to pass a practical demonstration, and you have to participate in the drills. They want to make sure you can actually perform under pressure.
The certification is good for 2 years, but that's not the end of it, is it?
Not at all. They mandate annual refresher training because they recognize that these skills fade, knowledge might stick around, but the confidence and the ability to act, that goes away fast.
That brings up a great point about who's doing the teaching. The trainers themselves have to meet a really high bar.
Oh, yeah. They need their own first aid and CPR certs, obviously, but they also need an OSHA safety training certification, which is the federal gold standard. And, this is the key part, they must have actual construction or factory safety experience. So they're not just teaching from a book, they're teaching from a real-world understanding of the risks in that specific place.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the aftermath. Module 6, incident reporting and documentation. This is how the organization learns.
It's the feedback loop. First, any injury has to be reported to a supervisor immediately. Then, a full incident report form has to be filled out within 24 hours.
24 hours, that's a tight deadline.
It's to get the facts down while they're still fresh. And what's fascinating here is the level of detail they require. This isn't just a quick note. It's basically a forensic investigation.
So they're preserving evidence.
Exactly. They require preserving things like damaged equipment, taking photos of the scene if it's safe. It's all about finding the root cause so it never happens again.
And the report itself has to include everything, I assume.
Everything. Date, time, location, names of everyone involved, witnesses, the exact sequence of events, what first aid was given, what medical treatment was received. It's a complete picture.
So pulling it all together, What this manual really shows is that emergency response isn't about some spontaneous act of heroism.
Not at all. It's a meticulously planned, highly rehearsed sequence of actions. It's about having the training to do things that feel counterintuitive, like not moving someone with a head injury or using water instead of ice on a burn.
So what does this all mean? For you, the listener, I think it means that preparedness isn't a one-time thing. It's a cycle. It's that repetition, the drills, the refreshers. That's what builds the automatic response you need when the stakes are at their highest.
Yeah, that ability to just bypass the panic and do the right thing, that only comes from practice, from that continuous loop.
And that kind of brings us to a final thought, a question this manual raises without even asking it. The A.B.M. project mandates quarterly drills and annual refreshers because they know that even life-saving knowledge degrades over time. So if a high-risk job requires that level of rigor to maintain skills, how can you apply that same structure, that idea of mandatory refreshers and regular drills, to your own essential life skills? Your own CPR knowledge, your fire escape plan, your first aid. It's a powerful model to think about.
A really profound takeaway.
That's our deep dive for today. We'll talk to you next time.